Hello, welcome back. Sean here, Mountains Garage. On a beautiful mid-February day, I have my shop door open. It's only 9:30-ish in the morning, and it's already warmer outside than it is inside. My streak of a video every day was broken because I took off to Florida for a week. It was a wonderful family trip. We go every year. This year, the weather was too hot for my liking the first 2 days. Then there was a day of change, and then the last few days were sunny and high 60s, just tickling 70 as the high temperature of the day. Beautiful blue skies, light breeze, absolutely perfect in my eyes. All the people down there are all bundled up like it's midwinter. I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. It was just wonderful. But I was able to break away on Sunday, which was the day of change, and there was high winds and about mid 60-degree temperatures, so I was fine with that. But I wanted to do some videoing while at day 0 of Sick Week. If you're not familiar with Sick Week, which if you watch my channel you probably are, but if you're not, here it is. It's a drag and drive event created last year by Tom Bailey, who owns the quickest and the only 5-second ET, quarter-mile pass in hot rod drag week history, or any drag week for that matter. And he decided last year he was going to create a magazine for one thing, Sick the Mag, S-I-C-K. And now he has Sick Week in Florida, and he's branching out and making a whole bunch of drag and drive events. Drag and drive event is you arrive at the day 0 track, which is also the day 1 track. You tech in the first day, and you can do some testing, which is what I was at. The following morning on official day 1, you have to impound your truck and trailer, and you have your race car, your co-pilot, and you're allowed a very small trailer. There's rules on the size of the trailer to tow behind your race car. And you are driving, well, your goal for the week is to turn in the best average in your class. So each day you have to turn in 1 time slip. You can make as many passes as time allows, but there's a lot of cars on property, 350-ish. So it's difficult to get more than 2 or 3 runs most days if you're lucky. Ultimately, you have a good pass first thing in the morning, turn in your slip, you receive a map to your next destination. There's waypoints you have to stop and take a picture of your car in front of, and hopefully you arrive at the hotel, get a good night's sleep, and do the same thing tomorrow at a different track. All week long, and then Friday you'll end up back at the first track you started at and have to turn in a slip that day as well. But that's how it goes. Typically 4 tracks. You start and end at the first and last track. Ironically, the first drag week ever, Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week, they didn't end at the first track. They ended up 1,000 miles away. Somebody figured it out in year 2 that we should probably go back to where our truck and trailer is. Of course, if you break down along the road, you cannot tow the car. You can tow the trailer. We learned that last year. If the trailer breaks, somebody can tow the trailer for you, but your car has to complete the journey without assistance, and only you and the co-pilot, at least while at the track, are allowed to work on it. Off property, if you break down on the side of the road, I believe other people can help you. But lots of rules, but not too many. And there's different classes, for different level of modifications for the vehicles. A very interesting concept. It was originally thought of, I believe, by David Freiberger, former Hot Rod editor, and to take the argument away that you can have a fast car, but you can't drive it anywhere. So now if you go 1,000 miles in a week and turn in your fastest average and win your class, that's pretty cool. Originally, the Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week, at the end of the week, you got a jacket, and that's it. Now they race for money. many people who have won the jacket over the years have turned that into a business, you know, just using the notoriety gained by winning in the event. So that's pretty cool. I was excited about the opportunity to go to the Tech Day and Test Day because I hoped that most of the people I follow on YouTube, I had been watching the testing the week before because I had a travel day and I missed a lot of information that could have happened in the last couple of days leading up to the day I was present. And that affected some of the conversations I ended up having because I am a stickler. My friends that have businesses, I won't show up there during business hours because they need to be working to make a living. I'm not a guy to come hang around. I'm not the guy that's going to bother somebody at the racetrack. But if they're sitting there eating a bag of gummy bears, maybe we'll have a conversation. So I kind of hang back, and I actually found myself in a lot of Day Zero videos just observing. I mentioned just a few videos ago that if you watch Riding with Alex Taylor, her dad is just a do-anything kind of guy. I mean, he built the 55 Chevy that she's driving with her, and she works, she welded, she wired the car. It's not like she wasn't involved in it, but you know, at his shop and with his guidance, they built the car. I should say that properly. I don't want to discount her abilities or contribution. I mean, she's even there, as I'm observing, she's busy all the time doing interviews and people want to see and talk to her, and which is awesome. And she took time out to be at the Gear Vendors booth, I believe, to, you know, pose for pictures and all that stuff. So she's really busy, but I was just hanging around and I got an opportunity to talk to her dad, who is just like, again, he is a fix anything, do anything type of guy. And excellent conversation. And Alex Taylor's boyfriend, Nick Taylor, kind of a coincidence, they have the same last name, they're not married. I had begun watching him a couple years ago after I bought my second TIG welder, the Alpha TIG. He has had the same one, or actually one model up from that, and I was watching him weld with it and started following him, and he had a business called Mid-America Customs. He's done a lot of drag and drive stuff, and now he's helping out with them. His car's currently broken, so he is a pretty good tuner, and it's fun to watch on Sunday because it's kind of like being able to see the future. Now, here we are Thursday. They just started day 4. The live feed is on, and it'll be on tomorrow. It ends tomorrow, day 5. It's on YouTube, Tom Bailey's channel. You can watch live all day long, you know, through all the oil downs and crashes or whatever happens. It's a long watch, 7 or 8 hours a day. I prefer the little highlight videos that'll come out tonight to let me know what happened. Of course, the beauty of internet, you can find out immediately what happened. So I feel like I'm cheating now, knowing what on Sunday all the hopeful people, they had no idea what lied ahead, and now we do. So I stood next to David Schroeder's Corvette. They're out of Canada. They've been drag and driving forever. Beautiful car. It's a former Pro Mod, made into a street car, and that car Monday had a horrific crash. He barrel rolled, I don't know how many times, probably, I don't know, I think I heard 13 was the number if you can count through the smoke. And not a scratch on him. Wearing all the right safety gear in a really safe car. And he walked away, as they say. So that happened on Monday. Again, on Sunday, they were full of hope and they were just hanging out waiting for the event to start. Another channel that I follow is Nivlac, Nivlac 57. It's Calvin and his dad. They just built this like 1960 Volvo. They got the car October something. The date is written on the car. And I watched them build it. They build the roll cage. They run a 6-cylinder like a motor out of an Envoy, a Trailblazer, that type of motor, 6 straight 6. And they're big into that platform. And the car ran a low 9-second pass. The dad was going to drive it all week, and yesterday it had a horrific crash. I believe the engine expired at the finish line about 150 miles an hour. He hit the right-hand wall, across the track, rolling over the fence or the cement barriers, ended up in the grass on fire. And I'm sitting there in the airport yesterday with my son, watching while the ambulance took forever to get there. People on four-wheelers showed up, other vehicles showed up, and that ambulance is idling down the track. South Georgia Motorsports Park should be ashamed of that. I mean, he's okay. He's in the hospital still, but he's alive. I guess one of the first things he asked was how quick did he go? And I stood there Sunday. There's Calvin. I don't know the dad's name. The dad wanted my card because he wanted to talk transmission stuff. Later on, so they want to build a good transmission for it, and it was just a great conversation. And I was able to, thank them for, the contributions they put in by putting all the videos together. It's pretty entertaining. Definitely a nice family, and I hope he recovers okay. The car is a total loss, but it seemed to have been built pretty safe because he did not walk away, but he's going to be walking and living more. So safety cannot be overlooked. In that particular case, I mean, I'm sure there'll be armchair quarterbacks. I don't know if they had an engine diaper or a belly pan under the engine when it expired. I guess they put a window in the block and put fluid out, which was the start of the crash. But if you don't have a diaper or a belly pan, now's the time to think about it. Really interesting that not everybody shows up with a truck and a trailer for the Drag and Drive event. There's a crazy Canadian from the west coast of Canada. He stopped and picked up a friend in Colorado, and he does this every year. He drove 3,800 miles from Western Canada to Florida in his 8-second standard transmission Pontiac. If you ever drag raced with a manual transmission on a sticky track, you can break a lot of stuff. This guy is not afraid. He's going to complete the week, hopefully, and drive it all the way home. That is dedication. Many people will say, if you have a ton of money, you can just win the event. Well, Tom Bailey himself, his own event. Last year, he was out on day 1. Dropped a valve, I believe. This year on day 2, hurt the transmission. He had nothing but problems throughout testing up until when he finally quit yesterday because the transmission was junk and he could not get into the staging lanes before they closed. No favorites because he's the guy running the event. It closed at a certain time. The tech guy said, "You're done." And he had to turn in a slip, and then he realized he had no way to fix the transmission, which was a common theme all week long. Steve Morris, I was wearing his shirt on Sunday. I got to talk to Mitch, the guy that works for him. If you watch Steve Morris's videos, Steve Morris Engines, I believe, is his YouTube channel, I hope. I don't want to steer you wrong, but put in Steve Morris. He's going to come up. He builds the SMX, which is a custom-built engine, pretty much taking all the goodness from every engine ever made into a water-jacketed block capable of 4,000 or 5,000 horsepower and be street-driven and live. For the first few years at Tom Bailey, with a seemingly a space shuttle budget, attempted these drag and drive events on day 2 or 3. The motor would be junk, typically in the valve train. Now, they got it sorted out, so the motor's pretty reliable. However, it makes so much power. And Tom Bailey's goal was to prep all these tracks so he wants a 5-second average every day, quarter mile. He didn't achieve it this year, but the tracks are prepped, sticky, you break more stuff. Steve Morris, also out with his station wagon, the world's quickest and fastest station wagon, out on day 2 as well. And if you watch his video, that is the limit of a Spicer 1350 series U-joint. I can't believe that wagon still has 1350 size U-joints in it. And up until now, he's been running it like that. That car's been finished for several years. He's been 640s in the quarter mile, and it weighs 3,800 pounds. It's a heavy wagon with thousands of horsepower, 1736 slicks, so traction's not a problem. And it has a carbon fiber 1350 series Spicer U-joint equipped drive shaft. Now, they noticed, I guess on the day I was there, that there was some U-joint needles in the belly pan. They have a belly pan under the transmission and the engine. So they put a front U-joint in it on day 0, and by Tuesday, he broke the rear end in testing, or he broke the rear end of the day I was there, but I had already left. They found another third member, got that swapped out, put a front U-joint in the drive shaft. Didn't realize that they hurt the transmission. There's no second gear, so he was running without second gear. He'd have to go first to third. The first day he over-revved it when he went for second, realized there was nothing there. And day 2, he was definitely running with just a 2-speed. He found another transmission and was going to change it that night. They got it all out and realized that now the front U-joint was gone again, but now it had hurt the aluminum yoke on the carbon fiber drive shaft. It spread wide open. You can watch his video, and he's out. So he builds one heck of a motor, but it's sure is hard on drivetrain parts. And finally, the Swedish guys. They are really something. I mean, just the hassle you have to go through to get your equipment over here. And currently, they're the top 2 vehicles ET-wise for the week coming into day 4. Michael Westberg, who I happen to be friends with on Facebook, is leading with his square-bodied S10 with an LS motor. And he's going 640, and he lifted early on that one. He said it should have been a 30-something, 630. That's pretty incredible. Funny part is he arrived a couple days early and was testing in Bradenton, which was the track for day 2, before last Sunday, the end of last week, and the rear end locked up and broke the output shaft of the Turbo 400 as well. He and his crew of 3 or 4 buddies from Sweden have never had a Turbo 400 apart. Guess where they went to find out how to do it? YouTube. If I had known that and they weren't so busy on Sunday, I saw this Sunday night after I was back at the resort, and they're interviewing him, and they say, yeah, we had to watch YouTube videos to learn how to take it apart, fix it, and put it back together. So that's awesome. And to close it out, and the inspiration for my next video that's going to follow this one, on how to operate your Lenco transmission. If you follow Cletus McFarland, which 3.3 million people do, he has his El Camino that they were running, which I now know put a rod out yesterday, and it's out of competition. But leading up to this last-minute thrash, the reason why they weren't at day 0 in the time I was there, they showed up after I left, they showed up at the end of the day, because they were finishing this Fox body Mustang that they built with the new Ford 7.3 liter Godzilla, is that what they call it? And they have a Bruno drive, which is a torque converter drive, and a 5-speed Lenco. From the moment they took that Lenco out of the box, they're pulling the levers the wrong way. There's no way to ever get through to get a message to them. Not that they're going to listen to me anyway, but my advice was go to the Lenco transmission website, and it tells you how to do it. And I'm going to cover all that in my next video. But with 3.3 million subscribers to his YouTube channel, when he posts a video in 30 seconds, he gets more comments than I will get in 3 years of being on YouTube. I mean, there's no way he can read all those messages. Again, not that he would listen to me anyway, but for the rest of the world, in my next video, I'm going to explain why it still worked and how it's not the way to do it. And that car eventually broke a connecting rod on the drive, or something happened to the engine that's making a bad noise. So they're also out of competition. So maybe if they're sitting back, they'll watch my video and realize they're shifting the transmission the wrong way. Have a great day. I'm glad to be back. No place like home.